It is my honor to welcome Van Morris to the stage.
All right, how's everybody feeling today? All right, that wasn't too bad. Well, listen here, I served in Afghanistan, and I received a warmer welcome from the Taliban and Al Qaeda. Now listen, you're living in the best country on the planet. How are you feeling today? All right, welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here today. I bring you greetings from the beautiful city of Tampa, Florida, and I'm delighted to be here. And I don't see him now, but my brother is here with me. So he came from, there he is, right there. My brother David is here from California. Let's give David a hand for being here today. Thank you, David, coming on out from California. And we're delighted to be a part of the family here today. As Bobby said, I stand before you today to provide your keynote address, and I'm going to attempt to do this for about an hour without looking at any notes, without getting behind that podium. I want to really speak to you from my heart so that we can just connect in a very special way. So in addition to doing the keynote address, what I want to do is I want to provide a little entertainment for you also. Is that all right? All right, so now my name is Van Morris, so not to be confused with Van Morrison. Okay, so I'm not gonna sing a little brown-eyed girl or moon dance. So we're not gonna do that, but instead of that, what we're gonna do is I'm going to recite 2 poems for you. And one of them is 300 words, so I'm gonna try to recite that from memory. And then the last poem is 800 words, so I'll try to do that from memory too. So you're going to get a poem, then my address, which is basically going to be me telling my story, and then we'll end it all with the last poem. These 2 poems are patriotic in content, and they are personifications of the United States flag. So if our flag could speak, what would it say? And we'll get more into that in just a little bit. So we've got a lot to cover, doesn't have a lot of time, so let's get right to it. So your theme for today is going to be being the best version of yourself. Or put it directly to you or me, be the best version of yourself. And I chose that topic because I'm wanting to set a theme and set the scene setter here of being at a point in life to where you can really take custody and be a good steward over everything within your sphere of influence and within your sphere of responsibility. Now, when you are the best version of yourself, every group and every community that you are involved in is better. Conversely, if you're the worst version of yourself, then those groups and those communities are a little bit worse. Can you imagine being a dad and you're the worst version of yourself? Now you know the children are going to be impacted by that. So I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure all this out. Being the best version of yourself is the way to go. It's in your benefit and all your loved ones' benefit, your company's benefit. Companies do better when the employees are the best version of themselves. So what I want to do now is really give you a quick introduction of what I'm up to. I want to connect with you in a very special way. So I'm going to take the baton from Bobby there where he left off and just let you know what I've been up to. And this is not me bragging on myself. This is me submitting to you. I'm submitting to you a report. And the reason why I want to do it this way is because in America and the world for that matter, we have been and are being saturated with bad news. Now, I'm not just talking about disinformation and misinformation. I'm talking about just bad information. It can be true information, but it's just an overabundance of bad information. So I remember a couple years back, I was at an event held by the Daughters of the American Revolution. And this was in Washington, D.C., at the Constitution Hall. And there was 4,000 ladies there. And they invited me to speak. And one of the ladies got up and she said, that we have given, over the last 3 years, 15 million volunteer hours in 3 years. And my friends, it didn't even make the news. She said it, no news station covered it. 15 million hours, volunteer service, good stuff, not newsworthy. But now you let someone, I don't know, American Airlines, sit down and slap somebody in front of them on the back of the head, it will go viral. Right? Everybody will hear about it. So good news is happening far more than bad news. And we can go on and on and on. You get the cops out there, your police are out there doing thousands and thousands of good news reports. Don't hear about it. But that one there, you hear that. The airlines are flying thousands and thousands of great flights. But you get that one there, and that's all you hear about. It gives you the perception that the sky's falling. America's bad. Everything's terrible. It's not true. So I was in Afghanistan back in 2009, 2010, and I was on a mission, and me and about 6 other comrades. And in Afghanistan, you have FOBs, they call them FOBs, Forward Operating Bases, and they're spread all throughout the country. And we're out there for 3 days, and the commander told me, he said, Morris, I want that good news report. So every day I had to provide a good news summary. Bad things were happening. Guys were getting shot, things were blowing up. But I understand now. I didn't understand then, but I understand now why he did that. Because you can't take your soldiers and just saturate them with bad news every day in the war zone. Find something good to say. So, and I did that good news story. And that, the way I submitted to my commander, I want to submit to you a good news report. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, let us begin. I'm on a mission to heal America. I'm going from coast to coast, pillar to post, talking to schools, corporations, sporting venues, nonprofit organizations, anybody that would give me an opportunity to say a few words about America's common sense core values. I have 2 lines of effort. Number 1 is to honor those that serve. That's our military, our veterans, and our first responders. Line of effort number 2 is to teach our children the value of freedom. I believe that all of the wars and casualties of wars that our country has endured since the beginning of our nation will all be marginalized if our kids cannot embrace their dreams in accordance with the promises that were made in our 1776 Declaration of Independence. Now, let's circle back to that first line of effort, honor. When it comes to honoring those that serve, I have served and I have participated in over 250 military retirement ceremonies, funerals, and promotion ceremonies. When we honor those that serve, we need to do our very best at it because that's how we roll in America. I'm also being involved in several nonprofit organizations, especially those that have causes for veterans, like raising the awareness of PTSD, finding mitigating measures for suicide. From the year of 2001 to 2021, we lost nearly 30,000 service members and veterans to suicide. And my friends, that's 30,000 too many. Now compare that to losing 6,000 service members to combat and training for combat. So you do the math on that, that's nearly 5 times the number of service members that took their own life as compared to those that died in combat. Now, there's a lot we can unpack there. Let's move on to line of effort number 2, teaching our children the value of freedom. I'm going around this country talking to private schools, public school students from the ages of pre-K through college. And my mission is to strengthen patriotism and also academic excellence and good citizenship. Make this happen, I'm telling students, be the best version of yourself. Embrace your talents, embrace your dreams. Take the best path to your best future, even on your worst days. If you can do that, you can be whatever it is you want to be in life. No one can stop you. It doesn't matter if Timmy's dad is rich and your dad is not rich. You know why? You've leveled the playing field. You're the best version of yourself. You're embracing your talents. You're embracing your dreams. Now, this is not only resonating with the students, but it's also resonating with the parents and the teachers. And that gives me favor with the principals and the superintendents. And that gives me more access to more schools. My friends, America's best days are ahead of her. And I know that to be true because I'm talking to students. It doesn't matter if they're private school or public school, the kids are the same. They want to succeed, and they need us to believe in them. And I know this is working because, listen here, I'm speaking to 25,000 public school students every year. Now, I know they're listening, they're raising their hands, they're asking questions, they're giving me high fives, they're wanting to talk after the sessions. Am I going to reach every kid? No. But I will reach enough of them to make a difference. May God bless our children, our veterans, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you. I'm so serious about our kids. I served in the military for 26 years. I'm still serving in the government as a contractor, training, coaching, and teaching our elite forces, Navy SEALs, Green Berets, Army Rangers, Marine Corps Special Forces, Air Force Special Forces, and Space Force. That's in Tampa, Florida. Four-star general down there, General Brian Fenton. And I love service after service. So I'm a veteran that just keeps on giving. And this is what God has led me to do, and I humbly do it. And as long as I got friends like you out there supporting, I'll continue to move forward. So let me tell you what the United States strategic message is. We have one. Now, you probably haven't heard this administration say it. The last one hadn't said it. You probably never heard it from any president or any leader, governors. It's implicit, but it's actually a thing. All right, and the military knows it. And so I'll just tell you what the overarching message is for the United States. Now, I'm not saying we live up to that. I'm simply saying we have a message, okay, that we attempt to live up to. So I want to make sure I put that caveat there. All right, or this disclaimer. Now, the message is any people or country that aligns themselves with the United States of America has made a great choice, period. Say that again. Any people or country that aligns themselves with the United States of America has made a great choice, period. And you will never see our military do anything intentionally to contradict what I just said. Sometimes you'll see the military do something like, why are they doing that? They're simply trying to comply with America's strategic communications message. If you align yourself with the United States of America, you made a great choice. Now, I say that to say this to you. Put that in your perspective at your company, in your household. You want any affiliates, whether it's a supplier or installer or it's a boss, it's an employee, you want others on the distant end to think, aligning myself with you was a great choice. You want customers that receive service from you to think, I'm so glad I aligned myself with you. That was a great choice. It's a simple message, but it's really hard to do. That's the message for relationships. That's the message for companies. That's the message for the military. That's the message that we project outwardly as a nation. We project that outwardly. So we want to make sure that our alignment is nice on the outside. But guess what? That doesn't really do a lot for the inside. I think you kind of hit on that a little bit. So you also have to kind of have that internal alignment. So yeah, America wants the countries on the outside to want to be aligned with us. But what about the inside? Inside alignment. Sometimes there's an internal struggle. So if we're talking about being the best version of yourself, not only do you want the external things to align, but you want the internal. So some of the internal struggles that we have is patriotism. Have some people are patriots and some are not. We have a unity problem right now. The country is divided. Some say, well, that's the perception. Okay. We have a lot of issues with our law enforcement. We have people thinking that law enforcement is bad. We need to defund the police, or we need to do this, we need to do that. there's some alignment that we need to take place. So I'm going to say this. The last time that America was aligned, if I can use that phrase, where we were together, we were united. When was that? Somebody shout it out. 9/11. 9/11. That's right. What happened during 9/11 that showed that unity? You had people that had vehicles, and they were allowing people to just pile into those cars like sardines and take them to a safe place. They didn't know these people, strangers. There was no Uber going on back then, but people were behaving like Americans. You had folks with yachts. They would have droves of people coming in, strangers right off the street, just flooding their yachts, taking it, as far as they could, as many as they could, and getting them out of there. You saw America be the best version of themselves. Even the president, it came down to Manhattan, lower Manhattan, and spoke. Didn't matter if you were Republican, Democrat, white, black, it didn't matter. They all rallied behind the president. And patriotism was where you think it should always be. That America still exists today. We haven't been tested, but that's where we are today. I believe that. America always responds when it really needs to. So, this next poem I want to do for you now is really using 9/11 as a focal point to drive that point home about patriotism, unity, being the best version of yourself. When you get a 911 call, the dispatch officer doesn't say, did you pay your taxes for the year? Well, are you a Democrat, Republican? What? They don't say that. They answer the call. During 9/11, the police and the fire department, they were running one way and everyone else was running the other way from the calamity. Fire Station 10, that's the one fire station, the only fire station that's inside of the World Trade Center compound there in Lower Manhattan. Oh, they were waxed. And the cops that were there, the local police, they were going into the buildings. And once they get 4, 5, 6 people, good job. Congratulations. Now your reward is to go back and get some more. And they had to keep going until they lost their lives. Those police, those firefighters, those Americans, they were the best version of themselves. And that's who we are right now as a people. Don't worry about what you're hearing on the news, from the left or the right. I'm telling you today that America is the best country on the planet. So I'm going to do a personification of the flag. And this poem, I want you to just sit back and enjoy it. It's called The Fight Continues. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, let us begin. Now hear the story. The 9/11 story is spoken by the United States flag. The flag is also known as the Star-Spangled Banner. Some call it the Stars and Stripes. It's known overseas as the Beacon of Hope, and it's known right here locally as Old Glory. And this is the Old Glory's 9/11 story. The flag said, I was up in the morning with the rising sun, reminding myself that my colors do not run. And just as the morning dew began to dry on the trees, I looked up and I could see on the horizon, I could see it, and I knew right away, the fight continues. But I will not lose unless I forget. But I will never forget because I was there. I saw my people taking flight for business, thinking they were boarding an aircraft, but they were boarding a missile. I was there when the plumes of black smoke filled the air, marking the buildings no longer there. I saw my fellow countrymen close their eyes wanting to pray, but I knew that they did not know what to say. God would have to interpret their hearts on that day. I was there when rapidly expanding pulverized cement blanketed Lower Manhattan, forcing the civilians and the first responders to run in opposite directions. And the fight continued. And on that soot-covered black tar, the dead were not just victims, they were casualties of war. America had become a battleground, bravely led by first responders. And the fight continued. And then I saw my people in spite of this calamity. They put their differences aside. They worked together. Cars, boats, bikes, and trains were all utilized to help people get to a safer place. There were no strangers on the streets. Everyone were like fellow comrades that you wanted to meet. Patriotism was at an all-time high. An all-time high. That is why I put the world on notice, saying America will protect our people. America is a blessed nation. America loves to pray, but America's not the prey. We are the predator. You can read between those lines. Never forget that I am the flag of the United States of America, but you can call me Old Glory. May God bless the families of the victims of 9/11. And remember this, my colors do not run. Thank you. Well, my friends, we have heard a little bit about the missions that I'm undertaking here, and we have heard some from the 14,000 years of experience. We've heard Bobby talk, and we've heard about America being the best version of itself. So, you know my service. You know I've been serving for more than a quarter of a century. I'm a proud patriot of these United States. My wife is a veteran. We have 3 sons. They're all veterans. I have a Marine. I have a soldier. And I have an airman. And I'm the only Navy thing in the house. Yeah. But you know what? I remind all of them. You know, don't forget that Navy paycheck fed all of y'all. Just not forget that. So now, you heard a lot about accomplishments, but that really doesn't tell you who I am. You still don't know me. And you're my family, so now is the time for me to get vulnerable with you so that you can know who I am. And again, what's the overarching message? Be the best version of yourself. I want to drive you. If you forget my name, that's fine. Don't forget that. Be the best version of yourself. So I want to talk to you about who I am. I want to connect with you in a special way. And hang tight. Hang tight, okay? All right, so I'm a country boy, born and raised in a small village called Folsom, Louisiana. It was a village because it was a population of 700, wasn't quite big enough to be considered a town. And my mother and my father, they had 16 children, and I'm number 13 of 16. And David back there is number 14 of 16. And because of all those kids, we end up having 108 nieces and nephews. Can you imagine that? 100. Listen, we all moved out of the small town now. So when we all left, the town took a population hit 20%. I'm pretty sure it did. They wasn't happy about that. Yeah, but you know, my parents, you know, I'm living the best days of my life now. But my parents, they struggled. My mother, you know, she was raised in Selma, Alabama, and she dropped out of school in the 7th grade. My father in the 8th grade, but she didn't drop out because she wasn't interested in school, you know. She dropped out because she had to go and pick cotton, corn, and peanuts. That's the way they, you know, do what you need to do to survive, you know, as sharecroppers back there. Now, there's a whole lot we can unpack there in Selma, Alabama back in those days, but suffice it to say that I am the son of a sharecropper. So how does a person go from son of sharecropper to patriot, bleeding red, white, and blue on a mission to heal America? How do you do that? That's the story right there. And that's where I'm able to talk to my audiences and those that are always trying to naysay my message. I'll simply let them know that, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. Anybody can do it. So the story starts back in 1968. My big brother was born, Martin Luther Morris. So Martin, an amazing person, and he was my protector. And of course, he was child number 12. So my protector, and and I always wanted to be like Martin. And he got the name, as you can probably imagine, got the name because 3 months before he was born, Martin Luther King was assassinated, and that was a tough time for all of America, right? You know, especially in the black community. So you can see some parents are going to name their kids Martin, and that's what my mother did. So now, a lot we can unpack there, but let's fast forward 7 years. So now we're up another 7 years, and there's Martin. He's on a bike with his big brother. Now, we were all supposed to be in the house. That's what Mom said. You all be in the house while she's gone to church. And so 2 kids slipped out. Martin and his older brother slipped out. And they went to go to the local general store 2 miles up the road. So they were crossing the road on the bike. And this is one bike, by the way. And the older brother, he's 14, so he's paddling the bike, standing. And the younger kid is just kind of on the seat. You've seen kids do that before, right? So that's the deal. And they're crossing the street, and the bike gets hit. And the guy paddling the bike, he jumped off, legs broke, so he survived, but Martin did not. Martin did not survive. So Sarah, child number 5, so she's the one responsible for all of us. So she gets out there to the church where Mom was. And can you imagine that? And we got a lot of mothers in here today. Can you imagine that? She gets out there to the church, and small church, and she opens up the double doors, and there was Mom leading praise and worship. Mom was leading praise and worship service. And Sarah was in tears, and she goes up to Mom. Mom knew something was wrong, and she tells her, Martin is dead in the street. Man, listen, you can imagine what a mother would do. Listen, we didn't have a new car, but we had a car that would move. And it was an old car. It was an Oldsmobile Delta 88, but that thing had a 350 engine in it. And boy, if you hit it, them 4 barrels would open up. That dirt road was speed limit 25. She was going 75 miles an hour in the 25 zone, fishtailing all the way. She got there and saw her son. Now, we never found out who had did it. We never found out. So a lot we can say about that, but let's advance another 7 years. So there I am. Martin's been gone for 7 years, and now I'm in the 7th grade. So I'm in the 7th grade, and the principal comes in the classroom. Morris, you, and you. Call 4 of us. Let's go. Need you guys to go with the local farmer, and you're going to go and help some guys with hay baling there. So we got out of class Tuesdays and Thursdays, every other Tuesday and Thursday, for 6th period and 7th period. So that's 4 times a month you're out of school. So we were missing math and English. I didn't think much of it. You know, the principal said do it, so you kind of did it. Now, I flunked, so I had to do 7th grade again, right? So there I am, 7th grade again, and the teacher, I was a little chatty, whispering to another student there, and the teacher caught me. And he said, Morris, because you know they'll call you by your last name. Morris, I told you to shut up. You see, Morris, you're never going to be anything in life. And matter of fact, you're not even going to be as much as your dad is right now. Your dad is not doing much in life, and you're not going to do half of what he's doing. So that teacher embarrassed me in front of all 35 students. He insulted me, and then he insulted my father. I was so proud of my dad. I mean, he raised 16 kids. You know, he was a truck driver for a bobtail truck, delivering lumber regionally. So I was proud of him, but he wasn't making the money that this teacher thought he should be making. So, but my parents always told me, do not disrespect adults. Be respectful. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. Even if they're being disrespectful to you, we were raised to be respectful. So I just kind of put my head down, and I was hoping that the teacher would just stop, and he did. He moved on. So a lot we can say about that, but let's move on. 7 more years. So there I am in the Navy, 7 years later. I joined the Navy, and I didn't join the Navy because I was a patriot. I joined the Navy because I didn't have a job, and I was laid off in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I wanted to be an electronic technician, and the Navy said they could do it, and I said, okay. It wasn't really that I was willing to die for other people or that I was loving my country. And I want to just really be vulnerable with you all today. I know we have a lot of veterans here who love their country as much as I do, but not everyone that joins the military is a patriot. Sometimes people join the military, like me, you join because there's something to gain, like a job, certification, or some kids join because they are promised college. Some people join the military and they're not citizens, right? They have the green card, but they're not a U.S. citizen. And some of those are patriots, even though they're not citizens, but not all of them are. So that's my point. Not everybody that joins the military is a patriot. Okay, so let's just say Van was not a patriot. I was in it because of the deal. Okay, so then I get a phone call from my sister Mary, and she says, hey, they found out who killed Martin. I said, what? So she told me the story, and the bottom line to the story is there was this guy. He was in the hospital, ICU, and he was given 3 days to live. 3 days to live. And he was a man of God, and this was eating him up alive. He was eating him up alive. So he wanted to have a chance of making it into heaven. So what he did was he simply said to the nurse, hey, I need Miss Daisy. So he got Daisy, my mom, on the phone, and he talked to her, my mom, and he got right to the point. And he told her what he had done. My mother, like any mother would do, she went down crying, and she asked him, why did you do it? And he explained it, why he did it. And then my mother had one more question for him. She said, do you mind if I pray for you? He didn't expect that. And he said, yes, please. My mother prayed for him, knowing now, understand this, she knew that he did it, and she knew that he waited until the last part of his life. Now, he can't be arrested now, you're in ICU. So it was kind of a selfish thing. She knew that, and he wanted to get to heaven. It wasn't about her, it was about him getting to heaven. She knew all of this, but she still prayed for him. She prayed a prayer of love, compassion, and strength. I don't know how many people in America today or on the planet today would have their son deliberately, intentionally run over. He did it on purpose. The kid's back was broken and his neck was snapped. How many moms would do that? This lady was the best version of herself. She prayed to God a prayer. She was an advocate for him. So imagine you listen on the phone and she's an advocate for you. So people tell me all the time, well, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have forgiven him. It's like, you know what? I'm simply trying to be the best version of myself. I know what my parents taught me. You know what that is? They said, do not see an action of one person and then attribute that to an entire ethnicity. If you do that, you're going wrong. There's nothing right about that. It's about as simple as that. So if you ask me, was it bad vehicular manslaughter? Yeah, that was terrible. But I think the man made it to heaven. I do. I think. Not because of anything he did necessarily, but I think it's because of what my mother did. She petitioned to God. And I just believe that if I was God and I hear my daughter petitioning like that, I'd be like, all right, bring him on. His grace is sufficient. That's the bottom line there. So, I'm in the Navy. I'm in E2. I got all that baggage. Okay, a lot of baggage there, people. There's a lot of trauma in my life. Are you guys tracking me here? A lot of trauma. So then I'm in the classroom there. I'm in submarine school, E2. And the instructor, we call them proctors. Proctor comes in and he says, all right, guys, listen up. This is submarine school. Submarine school is one of the most difficult schools in the military. And it's only guys. At that time, it was no women in submarines. So he said, hey, guys, listen up. If I call your name, you stand fast. Stay in your seat. If I don't call your name, you're free to go on liberty. So what the guy's thinking like, woohoo, man, not call my name and we're out of here. Okay? So, and he called 12 names, and guess what? You guessed it. My name was one of the 12. Man. So I got to sit here. And so the instructor said, all right, if I didn't call your name, get on out of here. So these guys left out. They didn't even look back to see who was left behind. But I was left behind, and 11 others. So now guess what? I'm doing the same thing you would do. You're looking around, you don't know why you're left behind, and you're looking at these other 11 people, and you're trying to see what is it in common with me and these 11 other people. I don't see anything in common. I don't know these guys, really. I don't know what's in common. And I look, I said, oh, wait a minute, we're all black. Oh, you know this is not good. Oh, my Lord. Come on, you know this can't be good. All right, so, and then he says, all right, guys, get up, and you're going to go and see the commanding officer. All right, for you military types, the commanding officer was an 06 Navy captain. That's a very high-ranking person, okay? And he was dressed in his service dress blues, brass all over the place, and we are E2s dressed in our utility uniforms, you know, and we get hauled into his office. And the command master chief is there too. That's an E9, senior enlisted. Things are just getting worse. Just from bad to worse. So I get in there and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, Jesus, man. One of these guys done brought a girl in the barracks. That's a no-no. Or they probably raped a girl or something and she's going to have to have dinner. My career is over. So he gets us in there and there's 4 bleachers. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm one of the first ones in. So I come on in there. You think I'm sitting on the first bleacher? No. So since I'm the first one in, I get the privilege of sitting on the 3rd bleacher. So I move on to the 3rd bleacher there, sit down, and all the rest of the 11, they went to the 4th bleacher. So I'm up front. I'm still up front. I'm saying, Lord. So the captain starts talking. He says, guys, listen up. I got you here because I want to let y'all know that your grades are phenomenal. I'm like, what? And your PRT scores, physical fitness, through the roof, all of you. Outstanding PRT scores. And your attitudes are just what it needs to be. I appreciate the attitudes. I think you all need to consider going to college. And I'm like, what? This man is talking, he's breathing life into me. I didn't see that coming. And then he looked at me since I was on the front row. He looked at me and says, Morris, I would love to have you in my wardroom as one of my officers. Boom! That hit me like a ton of bricks in the best way possible. He believed in me. He said, be the best version of yourself. He said, embrace your talents and your dreams. Everything that had happened in my past, my brother getting his back broke, neck snapped, forgotten and forgiven. The principal telling me to go out there and walk behind a tractor and flatbed and bale hay, forgotten and forgiven. The teacher telling me I'll never be anything in life, forgotten and forgiven. I became a patriot in the United States military on that day. And it's all because somebody else took 20 minutes to breathe life into me. And I did. I went to school. And I got a college degree, and I ended up becoming a commissioned officer, went to the Pentagon from there. But I want to say something to you all. You all are a blessing to me. You all are a family to me. And I want you today, I gave you this story so you can look under the hood and see what you're dealing with. Those 2 men, if I could find them, I would tell them, thank you. I don't know who they are. It was so long ago. They were the best versions of themselves. And if I could find them, they would tell me, man, we're just doing our job. My mother was the best version of herself. She did the right thing. She made the tough calls. She took the best path to her best future. And like I said from the beginning, if you're the best version of yourself, your kids are going to benefit from that. Your job is going to benefit from that. I'm benefiting because my mother was the best version of herself. I'm benefiting because those 2 officers were the best version of themselves. They crossed political divide, racial divide, social divide, economic divide, and left a lasting impact on me. All right, well, you guys have been wonderful. I'm going to close out with a poem. Again, this is a personification of the flag. I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy it. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, let us begin. The Old Glory presentation that you're about to witness is a time-honored tradition that symbolizes our service members, our veterans, and our first responders rise through the ranks. But most importantly, it represents their love for a nation that they so proudly served. Now, if I could get all of you to use your imagination just for one moment, imagine our flag having a personality. What type of attitude and swagger do you think it would have? Now imagine a flag having a voice. What exactly would it say to its outstanding service members, to its veterans, to its first responders? What would it say to you? Well, I would like to draw your attention to just one fact. The fact of the matter is, the United States flag is the most recognized symbol in the world, peace and freedom. My friends, when it comes to freedom, well, freedom is not free. It comes with a price paid for by our prisoners of war, our missing in action. We have over 80,000 missing in action personnel right now, today, by our veterans who have accumulated countless injuries and disabilities, and our outstanding service members who are serving around the globe in defense of our great nation. So let there be no doubt that I believe that if this flag could speak, it would say, I am the flag of the United States of America, but my name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings, and I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically across the great institutions of learning, and I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, truth, honor, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I am brave. I am proud. And I am ready. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is held a little higher, and my colors are a little truer. Except for my God, I bow to no one. Now I'm recognized all over the world. I am sovereign. I am saluted. I am respected. I am honored. I am loved. And yet I am feared. I have fought in every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Some of these battles include Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Aragon Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, Guam, Okinawa, Korea, Khe Sanh, Saigon, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, Kuwait, and Syria, and scores of other places long forgotten by all except those who were there with me. I know because I was there. I led my special operations forces in the quiet of the night, and at the tip of the spear, I saw them fight fearlessly around the globe. Every day of the year, I watched over them even during the casualties of Desert One, and they still love me. Now they're the fighting forces you cannot see. I was on a small hill called Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-worn, tired. But my soldiers, sailors, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, my Marines, they all cheered me. And I was so very proud. I was at Ground Zero in New York City on September the 11th as cowardly fanatics attacked America. I was raised from the ashes of once proud buildings by brave firefighters and police. These were heroes who risked their lives to save others, showing all that America, although bloody, will never be beaten because those who destroy me cannot win. For I am the symbol of freedom, of one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on in the streets of my own country. And when it is done by those whom I have served with in battle, it hurts. But here is today when I say, I will overcome because I am strong. I have slipped the surely bonds of earth, and from my vantage point on the moon, I stand watch over the uncharted new frontiers of space. And I have been that silent witness to all of America's finest hours. But my finest hour comes when my stripes are torn into strips to be used as bandages to cover the wounds of my fellow comrades on the field of battle. And also when I fly at half-mast to honor my soldiers, sailors, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, Marines, and my Space Force guardians. But most importantly, when I'm placed into the trembling arms of a grieving mother at the gravesite of her fallen son or daughter, I am so very proud. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wave, dear God. Long may I wave. Thank you all.